earliest memories of Harvard came in January 1975, when I made a call from Courier House to a company in Albuquerque, New Mexico, that had begun making the world's first personal computer. I offered to sell them software. I worried they would realize I was just a student in a dorm and hang up on me. Instead, they said, "We're not quite ready. Come see us in a month," which was a good thing because we hadn't written the software yet. From that moment, I worked day and night on the extra credit project that marked the end of my college education and the beginning of a remarkable journey with Microsoft. What I remember above all about Harvard was being in the midst of so much energy and intelligence. It could be exhilarating, intimidating, sometimes even discouraging, but always challenging. It was an amazing privilege, and though I left early, I was transformed by my years at Harvard, the friendships I made, and the ideas I worked on. But taking a serious look back, I do have one big regret. I left Harvard with no real awareness of the awful inequities in the world, the appalling disparities of health and wealth and opportunity that condemn millions of people to lives of despair. I learned a lot here at Harvard about new ideas in economics and politics. I got great exposure to the advances being made in the sciences. But humanity's greatest advances are not in its discoveries, but in how those discoveries are applied to reduce inequity. Whether through democracy, strong public education, quality health care, or broad economic opportunity, reducing inequity is the highest human achievement. I left campus knowing little about the millions of young people cheated out of educational opportunities here in this country. And I knew nothing about the millions of people living in unspeakable poverty and disease in developing countries. It took me decades to find out. You graduates came to Harvard at a different time. You know more about the world's inequities than the classes that came before. In your years here, I hope you've had a chance to think about how, in this age of accelerating technology, we can finally take on these inequities and we can solve them. Imagine, just for the sake of discussion, that you had a few hours a week and a few dollars a month to donate to a cause. And you wanted to spend that time and money where it would have the greatest impact in saving and improving lives. Where would you spend it? For Melinda and I, the challenge is the same. How can we do the most good for the greatest number with the resources we have? During our discussions on this question, Melinda and I read an article about the millions of children who are dying every year in poor countries from diseases that we had long ago made harmless in this country: measles, malaria, pneumonia, hepatitis B, yellow fever. One disease that I had never heard of, rotavirus, was killing 500,000 children each year, none of them in the United States. We were shocked. We had assumed that if millions of children were dying and they could be saved, the world would make it a priority to discover and deliver the medicines to save them. But it did not. For under $1, there were interventions that could save lives that just weren't being delivered. If you believe that every life has equal value, it's revolting to learn that some lives are seen as worth saving and others are not. We said to ourselves, this can't be true, but if it is true, it deserves to be the priority of our giving. So we began our work in the same way anyone here would begin it.
It will be from my heart. Walking around this Tea Hub building this afternoon could not but help me feel that I was looking at a new face of India, one of the new faces of India. The face of entrepreneurship, innovation, and enterprise. Entrepreneurship and the sense of enterprise is not new in India. We're a nation of people who have been shopkeepers, small cottage industry managers and owners. We have done this over the years. We have been entrepreneurs, be it in agriculture, be it in traditional industries. And yet we have not been recognized all over the world as an enterprising country. Is registered ourselves as an entrepreneurial nation in the new technologies of the world. The technologies that don't require billions of dollars to establish, that don't require hundreds of acres to build. Enterprises that are built on innovation that's in your mind, non-traditional, untried, and sometimes risky, but that make a big, big difference in the world of tomorrow. This is what elevated the United States in the 80s into a new world of technology and high tech. It changed the way we live. It changes what we hold in our hands in terms of phones, communication. And yet India has only been a part of it through people who left India and gone elsewhere. And why? Because the environment here didn't support them. I grew up in an environment where if you had an idea, your boss or your manager politely told you, and sometimes not so politely, that you need to gain some experience before you open your mouth. You need to roll up your sleeves and spend 5 years on the shop floor. Then you can talk. And that's not what enterprise is today. Enterprise today is an ability of someone who may be in his 20s, who has a good idea, and he needs to find a way to implement them. We now have an environment of venture capital that listens to that person, and we have a facility like this to enable that person to try out his idea, to bring it into reality or fruition in a manner that is interdisciplinary, open, and unifying. So this is, in fact, the first look at the new India of tomorrow. Tomorrow, day after tomorrow, etc. Not only in e-commerce, not only in e-retailing, etc., but in the exciting area of medical remedies, medical treatment, stem cells, life sciences, and this can be the starting point of that new wave. And so it's a great privilege to be here today. This is an area that needs all of our support and needs for us to be proud of what we have, but it needs for us to be keen to not be satisfied with what we have, but to go further and to be leaders in the world, not in the country alone. So my enthusiasm in the new India of tomorrow continues to be there. I continue to feel the need to support enterprising young Indian engineers and scientists. And all of us should be very pleased to play this role and need to support this, because all of us should be keen to unleash the Indian tiger. We haven't done that as yet. So let's all put our hearts and souls behind the fact that this is going to be the new India of tomorrow. And what we're seeing in this building is just the start, just a nucleus of what could be the new big, big thing in the country. And thank you very much for
It happened in 2012, played the IPL in 2012, and the lead up to that was interesting because I had scored my first Test 100 in Australia in 2012, followed by that game against Sri Lanka in Hobart, where we chased that total down within 40 overs. That came out of nowhere, honestly. I did not believe that I could do something like that at the international stage. It happened, gave me so much belief from there, and then Asia Cup came, and I got 183 against Pakistan. On a Sunday, everyone was watching, so things really just turned in about 6 months for me. But I forgot the basics of the game. I started, becoming more desperate, and I thought, this IPL, I'm going to dominate everyone. But the moment IPL started, a few games which didn't go my way, and my mindset completely dropped to the other end. I was eating anything that came in sight. I was finishing, candy packets, 40 pieces a packet. I would finish 3 packets a week. I was eating horribly, sleeping horribly. My habits were all over the place. And I finished IPL. I remember I went home, came out of the shower first day, and I saw myself in the mirror, and I was ashamed. It was literally, I saw myself and I thought, I'm looking at another human being, and I told myself, look, if you want to play cricket at the highest level, this is not the way that you can manage. And from next day onwards, I changed everything about my diet, the way I trained, everything, and from then on it was just an obsession. Look, when I step onto the field, I have to believe that I'm the best, because my mindset, as I said, was very clear from the first time I started playing this game. I'm not going to allow anyone to think that I'm just a pushover. So my mindset was, I'm going to go to Australia, and how am I going to score runs against these guys? I wasn't going out there to survive. And from the time I got back home till the Australia tour, I promise you, I was visualizing every day when I was working out in the gym that I'm hitting Mitchell Johnson, I'm hitting these guys all over the park. And those things came to life eventually because I convinced myself to an extent. When I went there, I was absolutely fearless, and things just started flowing. To be honest, before that Australia tour, I was treating every foreign tour like, more like an engineering exam that I have to pass somehow, and I have to show people that I can play at this level. But there I realized that, once you're down and out, there was hardly anyone who came to help me. There was hardly anyone who was looking towards me and saying, listen, let's work together and try to get your game up to speed. Everyone was just going after me left, right and center. So I was like, am I playing to prove these people wrong? For what? I've got nothing to do with them, and they literally have nothing to contribute in my life. So I went back home. I was down for quite a bit. The great thing that happened at that stage was I realized who was with me, who was not. Things were filtered to an extent that I just got so relaxed. When I went back home, I was like, okay, I've hit rock bottom now. No one believes in me. Everyone thinks I should not be playing Test cricket. So what can I do? I can just work as hard as I can. For me, one thing was always very clear. When I step onto the field, I'm going to give 120% every game that I play. And one thing for a fact that no one can count that against me. Till the time I play this game, I am going to play this way, and this is who I am. And if my mindset in the field is simple, I will not stand around wanting people to do something that I'm not able to do first. For me, every ball is an event. Every moment is an opportunity to make your team win. And that is exactly why you step onto the field. You have to make that time count. If you told me I had to walk away from this game tomorrow, I can walk away without any regrets, because everything that I've done since I entered the Indian cricket team has always been for the team. I've been booed by 40,000-50,000 people regularly when I enter the stadium. If I start focusing on those 50,000, I can't play a ball. For me, that's an opportunity. That's an opportunity for me to say, okay, fine, things are stacked up against me. Let me test myself how good I am. There always have been two options for me. Either it's fight or flight, and I've never taken flight.
Fight or flight?
I've never taken flight. For me, that's just not because look, I can take flight if I can't sleep peacefully at night. for me it's not worth it. I might as well take the fight. If I fail, I know that I took the right option. And that gives me peace. For me, when I leave the field, as I just said, I need to be able to know that I've given everything I had and I sleep like a baby. There is nothing else that can distract me then, because in my potential as a human being, God has blessed me with a healthy mind, healthy body, an opportunity which, everyone wants. So I have to be honest to that. I have to live up to that. So for me, these things are just a process, just a part of the process, which is you keep moving forward. You keep taking the positive option. Whether you get success or not, that's irrelevant, but never take a backward step. Face the fear, look it in the eye of my face, and I'm gonna keep coming at you. And that's how I live my life as well. I don't live my life half and half. I've never done something which I'm not 100% convinced about. So for me, as I said, if you wanted me to walk away now, I'd have zero regrets in life.
I don't know how memorable it will be for you guys to see me here, but for me, definitely this will stay with me for a long, long time. This is a special experience for me. I was asked to give a very, very brief message, literally a couple of minutes. Since I see my family photograph here, I'd like to repeat something which my father had told me. When I first played for India, which was my dream, my father took me aside and told me that you have reached your landmark. Now what next? So I told him that I'm going to continue playing for India. So he said, everything in life is going to be temporary. You will play cricket for 10, 15 years, maybe 20 years. But what happens beyond that? Because everything is going to be temporary in your life. The only thing which will stay permanently with you till your last breath is the person that you are. The nature of a person has to be good. So I said, a lot of things will happen when you play cricket. People will appreciate, but I would be happier if people appreciated you more as a good person. So try and be a good person. It's something I would want all of you boys and girls to follow. Try and be a good person first. I can see sea of diamonds here. I would say rough diamonds, unpolished diamonds. You all have dreams. You all have vision in life of what you want to be, to become a priceless, precious diamond. You all are talented. You all are sent down by God with some or the other talent. We just need to identify that. And then from an uncut, unpolished diamond to become a polished, priceless diamond, it is a process, it's a journey where the path won't be easy. Sometimes when you're trying to do certain things, there might be obstacles. Don't give up, don't find shortcuts. I think it is important to follow the right path always. And in tough times, tough men last. So I'm very, very confident that if you follow the right things in life, you would be able to achieve your dreams. Sport, for me, has taught a lot of things. Sport has taught me to compete hard and fair, and at the same time, respect the opposition. You have to learn to respect your opposition. And above all, I think, as a sportsman I'm talking, above all you have to respect the game. No individual is bigger than the game. Now here, I'm sure not everyone wants to become sportsmen. There are certain boys and certain girls who would want to become doctors, engineers, lawyers, cricketers, hockey players, football players, tennis players, whatever. Don't forget to respect your parents, your teachers, your elders. Their guidance is important, and with their guidance, I'm sure you will be on the right path. I don't want to take too much of your time, but whatever experience I have had here in the last 45 minutes has been truly memorable. And in future, if I'm in Chennai, I would again like to come and congratulate you on your success. All the very best.
This may very well be our last official visit to the United States before retiring from office next year. There could not be a more moving start to the visit than one which included being honored in this way by one of the great educational institutions of this nation and of the world. I know that through this award, you are not so much recognizing any individual achievement, but are rather paying tribute to the struggles and achievements of the South African people as a whole. I humbly accept the award in that spirit, while at the same time wishing you to know that we are not unaware of nor unmoved by the great compliment you pay us by conferring this degree at a specially convened convocation. To join George Washington and Winston Churchill as the other recipients of such an award conferred at a specially convened convocation is not only a singular honor, it also holds a great symbolic significance to the mind and to the future memory of this great American institution. The name of an African is now added to those two illustrious leaders of the Western world. If in these later years of a life lived in pursuit of equality, we can at last look upon our own country as one in which citizens, regardless of race, gender or creed, share equal political rights and opportunities for development, we do so with great gratitude towards the millions upon millions all around the world who materially, thank you very much, who materially and morally supported our struggle for freedom and justice. Together with those freedom and justice-loving citizens of the world, we do at the same time, however, note that at the end of this century, a century which humanity entered with such high hopes for progress, the world is still beset by great disparities between the rich and the poor, both within countries and between different parts of the world. If in individual life we all may reach that part of the long walk where the opportunity is granted to retire to some rest and tranquility for humanity, the walk to freedom and equality seems, alas, still to be a long one ahead. This august institution gains its standing and reputation also from the manner in which it has conducted and continues to conduct itself as an international presence. Wherever men and women of learning and thought gather, its name and work are known. It embodies that spirit of universality which marks a great university. To join the ranks of the alumni is to be reminded of the oneness of our global world. The greatest single challenge facing our globalized world is to combat and eradicate its disparity. While in all parts of the world progress is being made in entrenching democratic forms of government, we constantly need to remind ourselves that the freedoms which democracy brings will remain empty shells if they are not accompanied by real and tangible improvements in the material lives of the millions of ordinary citizens of those countries. Where men and women and children go burdened with hunger, suffering from preventable diseases, languishing in ignorance and illiteracy, or finding themselves bereft of decent shelter, talk of democracy and freedom that does not recognize these material aspects can ring hollow and erode the confidence exactly in those values we seek to promote.
We should know how to handle, not only how to handle the success, how to handle the failures. Particularly you are in the management environment, Wharton. I want the young people to understand how to manage the failure. Because any task you do, you have to come across problem. Problem should not become the captain of the individual or the project chief. The project chief should become the captain of the problems and defeat the problem and succeed. Learning gives creativity. Creativity leads to thinking. Thinking provides knowledge. Knowledge makes you great. History has proven that those who dare to imagine the impossible are the ones who break all the human limitations. In every field of human endeavor, whether science, medicine, sports, arts or technology, the names of the people who imagined the impossible are engraved in our history. By breaking the limits of their imagination, they change the world. You take C.V. Raman, you take Newton, you take Einstein, you take Chandrasekhar. By breaking the limits of their imagination, they change the world. If you want to be discoverers, if you want to be innovators, I am going to give you what type of characteristic you must have. Invention and discoveries have emanated from creative minds that have been constantly working and imagining the outcome. The telephone, he was imagining the outcome in the mind. With the imaging and constant effort, all the forces of the universe work for that inspired mind, thereby leading to invention discoveries.
Sir, I would like to hear from you a few tips for the upcoming generation to succeed in life.
Well, succeeding life, I have already told you.
Yes, sir.
You have to do 4 things, okay? Number 1, great aim.
Great aim.
I will have great aim.
I will have great aim.
I will continuously acquire knowledge.
Continuously acquire knowledge.
Oh, I will do hard work.
I will do hard work.
I will persevere
I will persevere
and succeed.
and succeed.
Okay, that's the mantra.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
You have many accomplishments. You've written books, you've served as president, you're an aerospace engineer, you've been a professor, but you say the title you like best is the title of teacher. Why is that?
You know, I had a teacher when I was a young boy, 10 years boy, wartime, the Second World War going on. At that time, I used to see in my class, 5th class teacher, in science teacher, he entered the classroom and we used to see the radiation of knowledge from him, radiation of knowledge from him. When he enters the classroom, my teacher, I see a radiation of purity of life. And the way he taught, my dream got shaped. What should be my way of life? He is the person, the teacher gave me the vision of my life when I was a young fellow. Now a teacher has got a fantastic opportunity to grow minds, to enrich the minds, and give the dreams to the young people and nurture the dreams with them, and they will become a great human being. Sometime they will become better than you, but better than the teacher. So that opportunity you have. I will have great aim. I will continuously acquire knowledge. Oh, I will do hard work. I will persevere and succeed.
And the Board of Trustees for the invitation, and welcome to the Space Coast, all the friends and family. In my world, this is where it all happens. Florida Institute of Technology is in the heart of where it all happens, and you, the class of 2023, you have made it happen. You started your college education one of the most trying times in history. You have resiliency and perseverance to get things done. Congratulations. This is a great time in your life. The opportunities are endless. You're only limited by how hard you are willing to work for your dreams. We're excited to see where your next adventures take you. And from my perspective, the future looks bright. I'm also eager to share some highlights from my world. This is a great time in the space business. The opportunities are endless. I'm here talking to you today because I am a Florida Tech Panther, and I am lucky enough to be in the very cool business of space exploration as a NASA astronaut. There is so much going on: new spacecraft, new space companies, new space visions, and goals of going back to the moon sustainably as we prepare to send humans to Mars. It's truly an amazing world you are about to step into. So this is a good time to share a few things I have learned from training, living, and working in space. Hopefully these tips will come in handy. Another old guy telling you stuff, I know, in this crazy world of opportunities. There's only 3 though, so I think you'll be able to remember them. After all, you're going to be grads in a couple of moments. First of all, get to the starting line. Well, let's be honest. When I was in your shoes graduating from college, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do with my life. That said, I had a couple things that narrowed my focus. 1, I was going to serve in the Navy for 5 years, and 2, I had a slot in flight school. I think I had flown a small aircraft once before that and fell asleep in the back seat, so I wasn't sure this pilot thing was really good for me, but I knew I had to give it a shot. So I made it to my first starting line, and I became a Navy helicopter pilot. I loved flying helicopters, but I was a little surprised and disappointed when people told me that you had to be a jet pilot to be an astronaut. I said, what? Didn't we land on the moon vertically? Don't I have the right stuff? I could have quit there and never tried, but like any race, you have to get to the starting line and you have to prepare yourself. And that's where Florida Tech became pivotal in my life. I realized I needed a solid engineering master's degree to stand out and be competitive. FIT was tough. Lots of those nights studying and learning new things that I never had heard of, like CFD, gave me the courage to get to that starting line and apply. So cross that starting line and run the race. Secondly, Don't forget what you learned in kindergarten. Naps are good. Share and be nice. It's amazing how important it is to have relationships with people. And that's really the true test of success, is the team success. Going to space is a team sport. No one gets there on their own. You need to be part of a team, practice good self-care and team care, and take care of each other. But sometimes even self-care is hard. Can you imagine being in space for the first time? You get to space, you look out the window, there's the Earth, you're flying around, you're like, oh my God, I can do somersaults, I'm a gymnast even though I'm not really coordinated. This is super cool. And then you throw up. And it's a mess, and it's in space, and you don't know really what to do, except your friend comes over, offers you a towel, pats you on the back and says, why don't you take a break and I'll take care of your task for a while. Extending a helping hand can go a long way. Sorry, I get nervous. I can do spacewalks, but I don't like talking in front of people. And finally, the third point is from my dad. You got to stop and take a look at the foliage. Yep, I am the pilot on the first mission on the Starliner spacecraft. And yeah, that's cool, and it is, and I'm psyched. But it's been a long time. I'm embarrassed to tell you this a little bit, but I started this in 2015. So maybe some of you were starting high school when I started training and working for this mission. It's been a bumpy road, and it's been a couple times that we've been just a few months from launch. But right now, it is July. Oh, knock on wood. So it might be here finally this year. I hope you follow along. When people tell you it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. It is a marathon. And as a marathoner, I can tell you that's what this has been. It takes a kind of persistence, adaptability you've shown, especially in the past 4 years, to achieve these big goals, like completing your degree or piloting a brand new spacecraft. With each launch that was rescheduled, I've been given perspective I would have never had without those delays. In this time frame, we have learned so much more about our spacecraft. We have helped shape the operational concepts of how we will fly it and operate it. We defined how, as a crew, we would work through contingencies, off-normal situations with systems, or how we'd even hand fly it to do a rendezvous, or hand fly it back to the Earth if we needed to. We got to help shape the program instead of just fly it. We see more than the trees, we see the foliage. What could have been seen as a setback actually resulted in immense gains in crew perspective that the program would have never had.
I knew what I had to say, and I was convinced, but not this year. This year, my family and I were convinced that we were going to stay here, that we were going to stay in our house, which was exactly what we wanted the most, without a doubt, and there was no doubt in our minds about it. Our top priority is always our well-being, being in the comfort of our home, and continuing to savor the life we have in the vibrant city of Barcelona, both through engaging in sports and embracing the beauty of everyday life, which is truly remarkable and fills us with joy. However, on this day, I find myself compelled to bid a heartfelt farewell to this cherished aspect of my life that has brought me so much joy and fulfillment. As mentioned earlier, for many years, my entire life here, I arrived at a very young age, 13 years old when I first came. Following a span of 21 years, I am departing alongside my spouse, accompanied by 3 individuals from Argentina who identify as Catalans. I couldn't be prouder of everything I did and experienced in this city, which I have no doubt that after being away for a few years, we will return because it is our home, because I also promised it to my children. And nothing. I am grateful for everything I have experienced. To my teammates, to my former teammates, to all the people from the club, those who were by our side and those we don't see, which are many. We cross paths very few times. I was brought up with the values of this club. I consistently endeavored to handle myself with humility, respect, and that is precisely how I conducted myself with every single person in this household. I hope that is what remains of me, of the luck I had to live and give many things to the club that meant so much to me. I had numerous beautiful experiences, as well as some negative ones, but all of those experiences contributed to my personal growth, continuous improvement, and the person I have become today. I sacrificed everything for this club, for this shirt, starting from the day I first arrived and continuing until the very end. In all honesty, I must admit that I am truly and completely satisfied with the outcome of the situation. Thanks for the love from the people as usual. I enjoyed bidding farewell in a unique manner. I never envisaged my farewell because I didn't ponder it, but I do not think I would have imagined it in this way, or anticipated it to unfold in such a manner. I had a great time doing it with individuals in the countryside, being able to hear one last ovation from them and experiencing their final affection. I missed you greatly during this entire pandemic period when we couldn't play with an audience, and I missed the feeling of being able to have you close, the support, celebrating a goal with them, hearing an ovation that resounded in my name. Now, as I retire from this club without having witnessed it, it has been over a year and a half. The truth is, if I had imagined this situation, I would have pictured it with the stadium full, being able to be close to the people and properly bid them farewell. However, it unfolded in this way, and I reiterate my gratitude for all the love throughout these years. We have experienced both wonderful and challenging moments, but the unwavering love from the people has always remained. I always sensed it. I sensed the recognition, the love, as I also sensed it. And this club will remain like this for the entirety of my life. I hope to be able to rejoin this club in the future in any capacity that may be possible for me at that time. I am hopeful that I can make a valuable contribution in order to ensure that this club perseveres in delivering its utmost and maintains its position as the premier club in the world. I do not know. In all likelihood at this moment, I have forgotten a lot of things I wanted to say. But well, that is what I am able to say right now. I am not in a good state to think and have the words come out. The best thing is that we move on to the question and answer session. And again, simply thanks to everyone.
I have the pleasure to present to you Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
I am happy to join with you today in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. Five score years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity But 100 years later, the Negro still is not free. 100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation and the chains of discrimination. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. This nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream that one day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, will be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today I have a dream that one day down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, one day right there in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today.
Today, we feature Mrs. Sudha Murthy, an inspiring author and philanthropist.
Trustees, teachers, and my parents and my dear students. It gives me enormous joy for me to come to school than any other place for various reasons. A, I am a granddaughter of a school teacher. B, I am a daughter of a professor. C, I am the daughter-in-law of a school teacher. D, I myself, I am a teacher. I used to teach computer science in Christ University, and later I became so irregular than my own students. Then I said I will come on a management than a teacher because of my hectic schedules. Children give me enormous joy because they are innocent. And this is the first time I'm addressing any school in Bombay. I have not addressed any school in Bombay. I have come only for the... I have only come to Bombay for meetings, never to a school. So when there was an urgent meeting came down today evening, I have a 7 o'clock meeting, then I thought, why can't I come a little early? Anyway, I waste half a day in Bangalore traffic reaching airport. I rather leave at 5 in the morning, reach Bombay at 8:30 so that I can have a session with the students, and then I opted for this. I will tell you one small story. I am a grandmother of 2 grandkids. Like today's how grandkids are there, they are like that, normal. Okay, that means more talking and less listening. And my granddaughter's name is Krishna, and she told me, they live in London. One day I told her to eat banana fruit. You know, we India consider it's a good fruit. Eat. And then she said, me, Ajji, give me she calls me Ajji, like any Kannada grandmother is called, or Maharashtrian grandmother is called. She said, Ajji, give me a set of reasons why one should eat banana, a 5 years kid. Okay? I said, okay, I will tell you a story, and then you feel like eating, you eat. I said, there was a rishi by the name Durvasa. I'm sure most of you know. Whenever he used to go to anybody's place, they used to get scared of him. Why this fellow has come, let him go as early as possible. I'm sure when you are not a nice person, nobody welcomes you. One day his wife told him, look, people, when you go, people run away. Whereas I stayed with you for such a long time, don't you think I deserve a boon or a special gift? First he was very upset. Then he said, okay, fine, I'll give you a special gift. What do you want? She said, I want a fruit which is not grown in Devaloka or up above heaven, which is grown on the earth. Yet it should be used to worship God. B, it should flower once a year and it should not have any seeds. C, all parts of that tree should be used in cooking. D, it should give fruits only once in a year and the fruit should be not messy kind, not like a mango or apple. And such fruit, without giving that to God, the puja will be incomplete. He said, okay. He made a tree and gave the fruit to the God, and then he called that, her name was Kadali, so he called that fruit the Kadali Phala. Kadali in Sanskrit became banana in English later. So whatever banana tree you see, that is the intelligence of a woman who told her husband the kind of fruit which is easy to eat, whose leaves are used for eating, whose bark is in the stem is used in cooking, whose flower is used in the cooking, which flowers once a year, and there are no seeds. So I told, it's such a great fruit on the earth. If you don't want to eat Krishna, you don't have to eat. But only learned people eat this one. What I'm telling you is, though every generation, it's really wrong to tell that our generation has a lot more stress. That is totally wrong. Parents, please remove it from your head in case you have such things. I was in Egypt about 15 years back. Then I took on Egyptology. That is a person who knows how to read hieroglyphy, who knows more about Egyptian history, and went to one place which is 7,000 years old, and there I saw the pyramid. Inside the pyramid there was hieroglyphy, so I asked that fellow, what it is written here, you tell me. This fellow told me, the builder of Egypt pyramid have written about next generation. Next generation doesn't respect time, doesn't respect money, doesn't respect elders. They have less common sense, they are less hardworking. I really do not know how they will survive. Suddenly I felt like, my parents talking to me like that. Every generation feels next generation is less than ours. We are very hardworking, we talk. No, that is really not true. Every generation has their own plus and minus, some totally same. Any mathematics teacher or any students who love mathematics will appreciate this. What is 1 by 2? Half. 1 by 2 is 2 by 4. It is also equal to 3 by 6. It's also equal to 4 by 8. It's also equal to 16 by 32. The moment I say 1 by 2 and 16 by 32, 16 is a huge number, 1 is small, but the ratio remains the same. And that is the way every generation has their own plus, minus, their own strengths. I have seen my great-grandmother, my grandmother, my mother and me, and my daughter, 6, 7 generations I have seen. They were always worried about disease because if there was no antibiotic in those days. If the child gets fever, the mother would have been panicked. Today you go to a pediatrician. In those days it was not there. Next generation I have seen there was no connectivity. Coming to Bombay is once in lifetime, particularly from people from Karnataka. Every generation undergoes a different stress, but they do undergo stress. Now coming to this topic, they told me that you have to address parents. I said I wanted to address students actually, but if parents are interested, I can. But students may get bored. I want to tell something to students and then I will address parents. Students, you should understand one thing. When you are in school, somebody looks after you. Your teacher, your parents look after you. They will tell you some good words and you really get bored. When they start sermon, your mind goes away somewhere. Because I was also a student once upon a time. Too many things that someone tells you, then you won't like it, actually. You won't like it. And too many things we should not tell also. If we want to tell parents, you should always tell in the form of a story. Never tell directly. You should be hardworking. As a child, you may not like it, but please remember, people who care for you only will tell. Third person will not tell. Please don't underestimate your parents and your teachers. It's your duty to understand what they are telling, for what reason they are telling, and you have to actually accept it, and later it will pay its price later part of your life.
Thank you, Oslo. Thank you, Norway. The way you are behaving me, I could say that I have come here to take the Peace Prize, which I have received yesterday. But your love, your honor, your respect for me proves and make me to think that I am leaving a piece of my heart in this country. Let me ask one thing. For me, I was born as a child. What about you? Were you born as a child? Everyone is born as child. And I was born free. What about you? Childhood is the best gift of God. It's divine. Freedom is the best gift of God. It is divine. But if the childhood is stolen, if the freedom is stolen and robbed off, it is the sin. It is the sin against divinity, is the sin against God. My whole life has just one single aim. That is to restore childhood. That is to restore freedom. Childhood is non-negotiable, no compromise. Freedom is non-negotiable, no compromise. And I also believe that if childhood is lost in one part of the world, the childhood of the entire humanity is lost. If freedom is robbed off in one part of the world, then we cannot say that the world is free. No problem in the world can be seen and can be solved in isolation. We are so interconnected. My humble appeal to you that let us connect the world, let us unite the world, let us unite the world in a different way. And that different way is to begin through the compassion for our children. As I said, every child is born as a free child. And when we try to begin the compassion and globalize compassion, make a movement for compassion, a transformative compassion, which can bring peace and justice and freedom to the entire humanity. That we can do. If we are able to feel a child inside us, that I said yesterday also. If we started feeling that my child inside me is not died, that child is still alive, then the world is different.
So I am here, and I'm going to share the story of that woman. That is my story. The story of gratitude. I believe in the power of words. Many people speak before they think. But I know the value of words. The words can make you, break you, they can heal your soul, they can damage you forever. So I always try to use the positive words in my life wherever I go. They call it adversity, I call it opportunity. They call it weakness, I call it strength. They call me disabled, I call myself differently abled. They see my disability. They see my disability, I see my ability. There are some incidents that happen in your life, and those incidents are so strong that they change your DNA. Those incidents or accidents are so strong that they break you physically. They deform your body, but they transform your soul. Those incidents break you, deform you, but they mold you into the best version of you. And the same thing happened to me. And I'm going to share what exactly happened to me. I was 18 years old when I got married. And this thing I'm sharing for the very first time on an international level. I was 18 years old when I got married. I belonged to a very conservative family, a Baloch family, where good daughters never say no to their parents. My father wanted me to get married. And all I said was, if that makes you happy, I'll say yes. And of course, it was never a happy marriage. Just about after 2 years of getting married, about 9 years ago, I met a car accident. Somehow my husband fell asleep and the car fell in the ditch. He managed to jump out, saved himself. I'm happy for him. But I stayed inside the car and I sustained a lot of injuries. The list is a bit long. Don't get scared. I'm perfectly fine now. Radius ulna of my right arm were fractured. The wrist was fractured. Shoulder bone and collarbone were fractured. My whole rib cage got fractured. And because of the rib cage injury, lungs and liver were badly injured. I couldn't breathe. I lost urinary bowel control. That's why I have to wear the bag wherever I go. But that injury that changed me and my life completely as a person and my perception towards living my life was the spine injury. 3 vertebrae of my backbone were completely crushed, and I got paralyzed for the rest of my life. So this accident took place in a far-flung area in the outskirts of a very small province, Balochistan, where there was no first aid, no hospital, no ambulance. I was in the middle of nowhere in that toppled car. Many people came to rescue. They gave me CPR. They dragged me out of the car. And while they were dragging me out, I got the complete transection of my spinal cord. And now there was this debate going on. Should we keep it here? She's going to die. Where should we go? There is no ambulance. There was this 4-wheeler Jeep standing in the corner of the street. They said, put her in the back of the Jeep and take her to the hospital, which is 3 hours away from this place. And I still remember that bumpy ride. I was all broken. They threw me at the back of the Jeep and they rushed me to the hospital. That is where I realized that my half body was fractured and half was paralyzed. I finally ended up in a hospital where I stayed for 2.5 months. I underwent multiple surgeries. Doctors have put a lot of titanium in my arm. There's a lot of titanium at my back to fix my back. That's why people in Pakistan call me the Iron Lady of Pakistan. Sometimes I wonder how easy it is for me to describe all this all over again. And somebody has rightly said that when you share your story and it doesn't make you cry, that means you have healed.